The site east of the canal was once home to a corn mill that has long gone. However, the old ditch or tail race heading to a culvert that goes under the canal is still there, although it's very silted up, having the far end, the exit side or west side of the under-canal culvert, bricked up but still allowing water to flow over the top, and the connecting ditch now long gone. At the bottom of the brickwork, maybe the original pipe outlet still exists, now buried underground. The Witch Brook that takes water from Whitchurch village also goes under the canal via a separate culvert. However, the original flow on the opposite west side of the canal was diverted across into the old mill ditch, with the brook being backfilled and taking the new course using the old mill ditch path. On the night of December 22, 2025, a major breach occurred on the Llangollen Canal next to the New Mills Lift Bridge in Whitchurch, Shropshire. The collapse, described as around 180 feet long by 16 feet deep, swept away the embankment, grounded boats, and caused 2 narrowboats to fall into the trench and 1 teetering on the edge, requiring a major rescue. The repair project is expected to last most of 2026 and hopefully no longer. The CRT estimate that approximately 7,000 cubic meters of material will be required to backfill the collapsed embankment and hole. In addition, if they copy other repairs, then concrete walls and base will be installed similar to the 2018 Middlewich breach repair. An estimate of more than 350 wagon loads of materials overall for the rebuild equates to around 13,000 tons, however this could be significantly more. Due to the canal feeding Hulston Reservoir that provides drinking water to around 330,000 people in South Cheshire, particularly around Crewe, Nantwich, and surrounding areas, immediate bypass pumping was prioritised to maintain flow and prevent any risk to supplies. Work has been undertaken in preparation for the breach repair. This work involves making a temporary roadway across the field, removing the topsoil to a suitable base where a non-permeable geotextile is laid down with a woven geotex mesh on top. This adds more strength and ballast. On top of that, aggregate from local quarries. Initially I had thought it would be 40 mm to dust, called MOT Type 1 or crush run. However, looking at some of the grade, it looks more like 60 mm or larger, like 6F5 capping layer aggregate. The area designated for the compound and very wet has an old clay pipe from the canal, likely an overflow pipe that looks silted up. There also appears to be leakage from the canal, and that's not unusual. The contractors Kia have installed a new drainage pipe and backfilled it with clean gravel that looks like 20 mm, all wrapped in geotex, and that will likely be permanent. On field drains we usually use 40 mm clean, but our agri pipes have drainage holes to allow water in along the length. It has been mentioned an 80-ton crane will be on site, so the road needs to be able to withstand in excess of that weight. Once the road and compound is built, then more plant and other materials will arrive on site in preparation for the actual repair to take place. There is still a lot to do yet, and to build an access road into the canal itself before work can take place. Arborists have also been on site removing trees that are in the way and will pose future issues. Some stock replanting will, as always, take place once the site is finished, that hopefully will be by November. My short video shows how the site developed over the past 250 years or so, and how the brook was eventually diverted into the mill stream. Though we don't know for sure yet, some speculation has pointed to the old mill culvert being part of the breach. However, the collapse of the bank is several meters away from that area, and the old mill culvert, though very silted up, was flowing when the water was high enough. I think a culmination of the very dry summer along with the very wet autumn and early wet winter, combined with tree issues, are the likely cause. Some locals have mentioned tree work taking place during 2025. Burrowing animals may have also created issues, and we know the steel piles were rotten in places, so cavities may have already been present. The Whitchurch arm of the Ellesmere Canal, including the section near Chemistry Bridge, was originally built and opened in stages between 1808 and 1811. After being abandoned and filled in by 1950, The section from the main line to Chemistry Bridge was restored, including the addition of steel pilings to protect the bank walls from erosion, and completed around October 1993, with the canal east from Chemistry Bridge remaining filled in. The map overlays show the old course of the Witch Brook, now diverted into the old mill ditch on the west side, the good side before and after it was rerouted into the mill ditch path on the opposite side, backfilling the original brook line. This historical watercourse change is on the good side, so has not created any underlying issues, though the exact cause remains under investigation and might never be known. The current work focuses on safe access and stabilization before the main embankment rebuild begins, and this work can take a long time as it needs to be done right before any repair work can commence. A month or so of setting up and prepping, and just as long at the end to remove it all and reset everything back to how it was.